Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Terra training module. I'm Frank Ambrosio, a bioinformatics scientist with Theogen Genomics, and in this video, we'll be going over the process of running the MercuryBatch Workflow for genomic repository submission file generation on Terra.bio. Before running the workflow, one must have run Mercury Prep. If you have not run Mercury Prep yet, please see our previous videos. If you have any trouble with this process, please reach out to our support email, which is support@terrapublichealth.zendesk.com, and we'll include that link in the description. Now that we have confirmed that we have run Mercury Prep, let's run Mercury Batch. So navigate to your Workspaces Workflows page, and you should see Mercury Batch as one of the workflows available in your workspace. If you do not see Mercury Batch, please see our video on importing a workflow. You'll use this button right here. So let's go into the Mercury Batch workflow. First thing we need to do is ensure that we are on the latest branch, the latest version of the Mercury Batch workflow. Next, we need to select our root entity. And here we've been working with our ONT specimens. So let's go ahead and use, let's use our Illumina specimens for this one. And actually, in fact, for Mercury Batch, if you notice, there's Illumina specimen and Illumina specimen set. When we ran Mercury Prep, we ran the workflow on samples selected from the Illumina specimen data table. However, we are going to select set level inputs for Mercury Batch, which means we're going to select Illumina specimen set. Here we go to select our data, and we could select the set that we ran through Mercury Prep on this date. Click this button, and then select OK down here in the bottom right-hand corner. And you'll see it says one Illumina specimen set selected. So you've actually selected all of the samples that we were working with. And that impacts how we're going to, it impacts the notation that we're going to use for our input fields. Typically, we use the this dot notation, but in this case, we're going to use this dot, and then we're going to select Illumina specimens, the S on the end right here. This indicates that we are selecting a column from the set itself. We'll add another dot, and this is the third level of this input. So now we're indicating the actual column header that we want to pull the array from for our input. This is an array input. It's different than other workflows that we've worked with in this series. So please pay extra special attention to these inputs. Same thing for the GenBank assembly field. We'll use this dot Illumina specimens and put in GenBank assembly here. We will do this for all of the required inputs for the Mercury Batch workflow. And the reason we're doing this is so that we can run multiple samples in a single submission. And this saves us a ton of time. This will allow us to concatenate all of the FASTA files into one FASTA. It will allow us to concatenate all of the metadata files so that you are submitting one metadata file for a set of samples rather than having to manually process all of those files, or write your own script or run some command line tool to do that for you. So it's a very convenient way to prepare your samples for submission. Additionally, you'll see in a moment, I will input the Google bucket location that we are going to be using. And that Google bucket is a public-facing Google bucket made available by Theogen, meaning no one can write to that bucket, but NCBI can pull data down from that bucket. So rather than having to download all of the data to a local machine and then re-upload all of that data to NCBI, one can simply move the data from cloud to cloud. So from the Google bucket location that Terra uses to house the data directly into the NCBI database without it ever needing to touch a local machine. So this is our last required input here. Now we only have to input our GCP bucket location. And if you're ever confused about the GCP bucket location, definitely check out our protocols.io page. We have a great protocol on the entire submission process. And here we can see the GCP bucket location, I believe, is listed in step 6. No, step 5. Here it is. Theogen SRA transfer. So we can go back down over here. And in quotes, we'll do gs:// Theogen SRA transfer, close quote. And this is the location of the Google bucket that will be used to temporarily house your reads prior to them being directly transferred to the NCBI storage location. Alrighty, so it looks like we have everything set up properly on the inputs. Now let's look at our outputs. Here you're just going to want to use the default outputs. Click save again. So now we have our input selected. We have our input fields, all the required fields populated. The GCP bucket is populated. We will be using that option to submit this data. And the life cycle on this bucket is 7 days. So if you run Mercury batch and you don't submit within 7 days, you'll have to rerun or just reach out to us and we can transfer your reads back into this bucket. So please just try to get that submission within 7 days of having run a successful Mercury batch. Again, if you run into any problems with that, reach out to our support email, which is support@terrapublichealth.zendesk.com. And we're all set to run this analysis. So let's go ahead and launch. And this analysis failed. Let's take a look at why. So Mercury batch here. Everything seems to be set up properly. Selected the Mercury prep input. And it failed. All right, let's see if GenBank modifier. We missed one of the inputs. So this is a good way to show what happens when you miss one of the inputs. Here we will go ahead and copy GenBank modifier over here. We will need to save this again, and we need to select our data one more time. This is the set that we ran through Mercury Prep. And let's go ahead and run our analysis. And now everything should be running smoothly. Glad we all got to see that little hiccup. They occasionally happen to us at Theogen as well, so don't feel bad if you run into that too. Again, if you do run into that and you can't figure out a solution, reach out to support@terrapublichealth.zendesk.com, and we'll be happy to help you with whatever questions you have there. Thanks again for being here and watching this video, and we really appreciate any comments, any feedback that you have, Any new topics that you'd like to see videos on, please let us know, and we'd be happy to make those videos for you. Again, I'm Frank Ambrosio with Theogen Genomics, and thank you very much for being here.